Hi guys, quick update here for Bitcoin and the S&P. Hope everyone's doing great. So it's Wednesday, 7th of September 2022. So obviously, the big boys are back here. The volumes are going to increase and the moves are now going to be genuine. We had this sort of fake little rally in the S&P and the Nasdaq and the S&P over summer. Net on the S&P, we've effectively gone sideways. I am still looking now at the June lows to get taken out. As per the previous counts, some kind of expanding diagonal. Maybe it's an ABC, WXY. It doesn't really matter. The minute these lows get taken out, it's all about trying to catch this low. Could we bounce off the pre-pandemic highs or just get underneath there or just above? Very much possible. Maybe form a shakeout pattern, form an S-curve pattern. Then we could potentially get a nice rally. If we don't do that, we're going to flag here. And if the reaction to the US midterms is poor, one more panic crash down. I don't think we take out the pandemic lows, although we do get very close. Maybe we tag this pivot level here, and then we can have a very vicious rally. So, as in like a V bottom type of rally. So the way I'm reading this, currently it doesn't matter which of these two interpretations are on the table here. Both of them are bearish to at least 3,400 on the SPY. Whether we have the full crash down depends on the reaction to the US midterms. Looking at Bitcoin, obviously it's a leading indicator for liquidity. I would say it's literally taken out the June lows as we speak. We did say very much bearish here. The dollar's at 24-year highs. Why would you get bullish Bitcoin this entire year? It's a depreciating asset currently anyway. That's inside month candle failure. These poor lows are now going to get cleared. I think the next new low is definitely buyable. Technically it's making a low as we speak. I'm looking at 14,500 to around 15,000 as the next bounce. Obviously we could go lower than that, but it depends what the S&P does. These two markets do move hand in hand. If you just bring up the S&P onto here, it very much depends what the S&P does here, right? So let's just let's just get these two up on right. So they're both on the weekly chart. Well, that's on the daily chart here. Weekly chart, right? So that's the S&P. Let's just change that to Bitcoin futures. Okay, it's changing on both of them. So let's do that. And there you go. Okay, let's get the S&P onto here. Right, so basically everything depends on the S&P. If the S&P does make a new low in some kind of ABC and it bottoms here before the US midterms, 3,400, then obviously we're not expecting the big crash down to 8 to 12,000. We're expecting this to bottom out here, 14.5 to 15,000. That would be another, let's say, 20% drawdown from current levels, give or take, right? The altcoins are getting very, very tasty. If the S&P ends up flagging here between 32 and 3,500, then as the big crash down post US midterms, which is completely inconsistent with the US midterm year, but it is a inflationary bear market grand super cycle, so we do have this possibility. Then I'm not expecting a very hefty bounce at 14,500. All I'm expecting is another flag, then a vicious move down, and then we rally. Either way, at current time of doing video, I'm not expecting September to be anything other than quite bearish, and then we can look for a bounce either here or here. So here or here. Obviously, longer term, there is still the possibility this S&P, this Bitcoin here on the right hand side of your screen, can eventually go to an 8 to 12k range, maybe even take out its own pandemic lows around 3k. Eventually, the same can be said for the S&P. And the reason is, it's basic auction market theory. We cover this on the masterclass. Do have a look. I'll try to offer out a discount code on the Facebook page. If you want to join that page today, then there'll be a discount code there today for 10%. Eventually, we are going to trade in this range. It's just a matter of when. Whether we do it now immediately and then do this, or whether we do this larger ABC, then do this. Eventually, over the coming years, we are eventually going to trade this range because the market has to repair itself. There's a lot of basically structure here which has to be repaired. ES gaps, SPX gaps, polos, untested, naked VPOCs, all of them have to be tagged for this market to really repair itself. Effectively, the last 2 months, the last 2 years have been a short squeeze. So that's the take on the S&P. Let's go back into a single screen format here. Let's have a look at some nice coins. Obviously, we've got a few leading indicators there. So, I mean, we called the top in all of these ages ago. So, you know, we have said for a long time, I mean, that's going to go to 1 cent. We called the top there. That's down 99% since we called the high. You know, that can still go low. Once again, it's all about the next low. Everything is about the next low. You know, a lot of these coins are getting very, very cheap here. And seasonally, the last 3 months of the year are very, very bullish for crypto. Could it just be a run of this pattern, form an S-curve pattern, stop here, looking for that move up? Could it be a shakeout pattern? Same sort of thing. Okay, we're getting very, very close to some interesting levels here. ADA is obviously one which we are watching here in the group, as you can see. I mean, really, the range on ADA is probably from here, to be honest. It's 0.2, I would say 0.2 to 0.25. So as you can see, everyone's eyeing this up. The level of panic and capitulation that's going to form here over the next couple of months could be, you know, like a capitulatory moment. Then we get an oversold bounce. Okay, like I said, I'm not expecting some heroic move here from these altcoins, but I am expecting at least a nice counter wave rally, especially if the S&P joins in. Now, let's go off crypto for 1 second, quickly cover the dollar index. So we've been bullish on the dollar the last 2 years due to inefficiencies, let's say, in the euro-dollar system. I mean, that cannot be any more parabolic than it already is. We call this move from 2 years ago, holding high dollar cash position, probably a good idea. Of course, you know, it's running into very important resistance levels, which you can have a look at YouTube videos, probably 6 or 7 videos. I mean, it's literally touching a, 40-year trend line here. It's getting very, very close to at least some kind of short-term top. It's already run this pivot level here. Actually, it's not quite run that. There's another pivot level up here. Now, a dollar pullback will obviously support the idea that there's some kind of Q4 rally going on. What the dollar does from here is very, very important. Every headline I see is very bullish dollar right now. How much lower could the euro and the pound really go in this situation? I'm not saying it's going to collapse, okay? We're not looking for a dollar collapse, but some kind of pullback going into October and the end of the year, very much possible, okay? Especially if you take a look at the Elliott wave count. I mean, you really cannot get a more parabolic move than that. If it goes any more parabolic, it's literally going to go sideways here. I mean, it's literally going to fall back on itself. You cannot get more. It's actually going to do this. So you could argue that's the 1, that's the 2, all that extended 3, 4, 5, okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if there's all kinds of divergence going on the... I mean, that's not real divergence as of yet. I don't like to call that divergence, to be honest. That is showing very strong momentum. What I like to see with divergence, as per masterclass, is going from the white area back into the shaded area below 70. So whilst that is diverging, no doubt, it's making a new high, RSI, I do like it to go back into the shaded area. So still showing a lot of strong momentum here. Maybe one more pullback, one more new high, and then we get a rollover there, okay? And certainly looking at the Elliott wave count, I mean, it seems to be getting pretty close to, long-term trend lines here. So let me just mark this out. I mean, it's already at 1.618. Yeah, maybe 112, okay? Okay, and the 10-year yield, also very important trend lines going on here. The count would be that this is part of the wave 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once again, we'll just measure this one out. We want to get the exact low, and that's from here. That would be obviously your third wave. That would be your fourth wave. So as you can see, we're getting very, very close to a top here in yields too. TLT, I said 2 years ago, it was going to go to 100. None of my group members believed it at the time. Well, they're believing it now. This is the exact opposite. So how low can this go? Could we break 100? I mean, surely a TLT below 100. I mean, you cannot get a more bearish headline than that on US government bonds. Surely, bonds are going to turn here going into Q4. So whilst we're not quite done yet, I do expect yields to pull back after one more new high. Dollar to eventually pull back here, and bonds could be in for a nice bid. I know Dent Boy is saying 180 on bonds. I don't see it. Bonds are in a catastrophic collapse here. And this is a 40-year bull market on bonds, has been over for a while. That's just one giant ABC. Okay, longer term, TLT could easily, take out these lows. Okay, I'm talking 3, 4, 5 years down the line. But surely bonds are coming into an area where at least we get some kind of counterwave rally. Now, let's quickly finish off. I mean, some of these stocks are getting so tasty here. You look at things like, Shopify. I mean, we cover all of these. I can't give away too many targets here. Zoom, very, very interesting. Zoom. Roku's getting very close. Obviously, Facebook, we mentioned that on the last video. Surely Facebook is getting ready here for a nice little descending wedge breakout. We got all kinds of inside month candle patterns here, so do take the masterclass. Very, very useful. Many people have achieved great profits over the last couple of years. It's been on sale now for 2 years. Like I said, I will release a discount code today only for the next week. Very important that people understand these patterns. This is not an investing market. This is a stock pickers market, and other than the ending diagonal kind of nonsense from a few weeks ago, pretty much called this exact market. It's a very difficult market, and we could literally be here for years, by the way. On the SPX, we could be dominating this range here for the next couple of years, up and down, up and down, up and down. Literally, we could be range bound here for at least the next 2 to 5 years. So obviously, there's great opportunity there. There's not a great opportunity if you can't read a chart, you're just passive investing. Net, it's going to be like the 70s or the 40s. You're just going to be break even. But within these moves, there are great moves. And it's not just about Elliott and Fibs. It's about auction market theory and candlestick patterns. Very, very simple, but very, very effective. Do take a look. Anyway, obviously, we're looking this. That is, it's just not looking good, is it? So we said, this is some kind of A or a 1. Yeah, this is some kind of B or a 2 or an X, doesn't really matter. As a minimum, you'd get a 1-to-1 correlation here. So therefore, it gets you, I believe it was 124. Let's just say hypothetically that's some kind of ABC. And it reads better as a diagonal. So I would rather call that the low. 124. If we get an extension, maybe it goes to 100. So is Apple going to basically drag down this S&P with it? Very, very important stock to watch. We can overlay Apple here. As you can see, it's pretty much it's where Apple goes, the market is going to go. Apple is just too powerful. So Apple is very important to watch. Obviously, today there's event risk with the new iPhone. I don't think that's relevant here. I think for Apple to now reverse, looking at how heavy this market looks, for Apple to now reverse and go to all-time new highs, I find that very hard to believe now. I think a lot of damage has been done on Apple, as it has been done for a long time. That's effectively gone sideways in this rising wedge for a very long time. You've also got a head and shoulders pattern here too. So Apple is very, very important to watch. Tesla, let's not even go there. Obviously Google, still looking at pre-pandemic highs on Google. You can't really buy this from a long-term perspective till it gets to here. Microsoft is the same too. So lots of damage being done here, but there are great opportunities coming up going into Q4, I feel. Right, 13 minutes. Right. So let's just recap then. Make sure everyone's happy with the count. So basically, we're looking at one more new high, then we're looking at scoping out a low. There is a possibility we flag, then one more crash down, and then we rally. This is better in the sense that we repair everything from the last 2 years. We have to eventually trade somewhere between 2326 and the pre-pandemic highs. Whether it happens this year, next year, or the year after, doesn't matter. Eventually the market has to repair itself. That's just how markets trade, how they move. Regardless of this little flag then move down, we're definitely going to make a new low. Then we're looking at catching this knife. I can't go into too many of the altcoins, that would be unfair for group members, but Bitcoin 14.5 to 15,000. It's all about what happens at that level. It's not 16,000 and it's not 14,000. It's exactly 14.5 to 15,000, give or take a few $100. I have to see what happens. Does Bitcoin get to 14,500 at the same time let's say 4 weeks before the US midterms, at the same time, does the S&P show me bullish price action? Could we then be in for a huge rally? If the S&P flags one more move down, then one more move down, sub 10K, then we rally. So getting too bearish here in Bitcoin in about 3 to 4 weeks time, probably not the best idea. Bitcoin is doing exactly what it does in September. We mentioned this on the group at the start of the year. We have all these statistics, which are very, very important. You have to know which months this market actually outperforms and which months it doesn't do so well. And September is statistically the worst month to be holding Bitcoin. Anyway, that's my current take. If you want to know more, take the masterclass. I'll release a 10% discount code underneath this video as well as on the Facebook page. Please do take a look. And if you want to join the group, you know where we are. If you want to pay via crypto, just message me through the Facebook page and I'll catch you guys soon. Could be an explosive couple of months here going into the end of the year.